Hi guys, this is Alvin again and welcome back to my channel for another edition of my review in quarantine. And today we are going to do a follow-up of a review that I did a few weeks ago on insulated bottles. Now, we put these babies through the cold test. Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering, how do they perform under the heat test? And these are the ones that are participating in our review. Of course, these are the vacuum bottles that I have in my cabinets. These bottles are actually quite pricey, and I've collected a few over the years. I don't suggest that you do that. I have a really bad hoarder tendencies. But anyway, this is going to be a good experiment, and let me explain our methodology. So what we're going to do is we are going to boil some water, and we're going to put the same amount of water in each of these bottles and mugs, and we're going to let them stay here on the table in my semi-air-conditioned dining area, and leave them for maybe 45 minutes, and we're going to check back on them afterwards. After 45 minutes, we will open them one by one and measure the temperature using this food thermometer. We're going to insert the food thermometer into the water, which is going to tell us the temperature of the water. So, to be fair to all our review participants, we are going to boil the water each time we place water into them. So, now, before we do that, let me just show you the bottles that will be participating in this test. This is the YETI Rambler. It's really one of the most beautiful bottles out there. I really love the way this looks, and this did all right during the cold test, and we're going to find out whether or not it acquits itself during this test. The next one is this generic bamboo vacuum bottle. I say it's generic because I don't know the brand. This was customized by my office. As you can see, our office logo is here, and I found out that this is just a generic vacuum bottle with a bamboo just wrapped around and the logo laser cut here. And we still have the REI bullet shaped vacuum bottle. This did really well during our cold test. I wonder how it will do this time. We have another one of those generic bamboo bottles. As you can see, this is my main complaint about the bottle. It doesn't really hold up against a lot of dishwashing. So this bamboo has started to crack and peel. And the thing is that eventually this will really just break down. And as of the moment, I'm afraid that a lot of dirt and water is going inside, and that's not good. That's we don't want that. Of course, we have our HYDROFLASK here. We are going to put this is a smaller HYDROFLASK. I think it's 18 ounces. We are not putting the bigger HYDROFLASK to this test. Also, we are not including the beer growler because of their size. I think they're more appropriate for cold water, cold liquids rather than hot liquids, because I don't think anyone drinks that much coffee anyway. I may be wrong, but that's what I think. And this is my innate double wall mug. As you can see, the cover just pops in. It's made of silicone, the cover, and you just pop it in. It doesn't really have a screw on there, so the seal is not as tight as all the other bottles. Some of them actually have double lids, so I think off the bat this has a disadvantage. But I use this a lot. If I just want to drink tea or hot chocolate, I pass by the cafe and make them put it here, and then I bring it to work. And this is an REI vacuum food container. I don't think it's actually appropriate for drinks, in the sense that it has a very thin lip, so it's not something that you would like to drink out of. Also, it's the rim is also quite big, so you might spill some of the hot liquid on yourself. I think this is more appropriate for soups and other hot liquids other than a tea, coffee, or hot chocolate. Now these are my other vacuum mugs. This one is the MSR double wall mug. I use this when I go camping because it's cool to the touch. Even if you have a hot liquid in there, you're not going to burn your hands. And this is another YETI mug. This is the one that I use actually almost every day here at home. Even here at home, whatever kind of drink I have, I just put it here. It could be hot, could be cold. The problem is it cannot participate in this test. These two mugs cannot participate in this test because they are not completely sealed. They have these holes in them, so they are at a big disadvantage. So we want this test to be fair. Alright, so what we're going to do is we have some water here, we have our measuring cup, and we are going to boil the water and then start pouring the liquid into the bottles. Just to make sure that we have the same amount, I'm going to measure a cup, a cup of hot water, and pour them into the bottles, and keep them here for 45 minutes. So now we are just waiting for the hot water to boil. And that's the sound that it makes. This is my Breville electric kettle, so this is where I boil my water when I want to drink tea. Tea basically. I don't put milk in there, just water. Alright, the water has just boiled. We're going to pour some here. We're just going to do a test. This thermometer actually is suited for meat, but I think it will function the same way for water. So we're just going to dip the thermometer in there. We're going to see if any change is going to happen. Okay, so it only measures in Fahrenheit. I'm more familiar with centigrade or Celsius. So, but anyway, we don't need to convert. At least we get an idea of how high or how hot the liquid still is. So here, this is just boiled water. And we have it at 177.9, so that was the highest that it got to. So if the temperature inside these bottles is still quite high, that means that they've performed really well. So I'm going to pour the water back. To be fair, I'm going to pop the water back into the kettle. That was quick. So 8 ounces of water, that is equivalent to 1 cup. I would have preferred to measure in metric, but I prefer it like this. So first is the YETI vacuum bottle. There we go. This is one of my problems with most of these products. They have these white stuff residue on their covers. I'm not sure what it is, and I'm not sure how to clean it. If you have a suggestion on how to remove these, please leave a comment down below. Alright, I said the MSR and the YETI Rambler are just here to observe, but we're going to put hot water into one of them, as sort of our control, just to see how much the water temperature has changed over the course of 45 minutes. That's it. That's all the water that we have. And again, just to make sure that we are on the same page, we're going to test again the temperature in there just to see if we get similar reading as we had earlier. So I don't know how the thermometer is measuring, which part of the thermometer is measuring the heat. Now I put the sort of this protective sleeve here, and the temperature was at topped out at 183 so Fahrenheit. It's quickly going down. So as you can see, all that steam that's escaping means that the water is getting less hot very, very quickly. So now we are at 179, so that's our benchmark. 180 would be like just boiled water, and anything less than that is just warm water. So we are going to come back in 45 minutes and check back on these vacuum water bottles. Siri, set a timer for 45 minutes.
Okay, 45 minutes and counting.
Alright, more than 45 minutes have passed since we placed hot water into our insulated bottles. Now we are going to test and measure how hot the water is still inside each of these bottles. But first, let's begin with our control. This is the hot water that I just left outside, and we're going to see whether it's still warm. It's not warm to the touch. The temperature is just, but as you can see, the water temperature peaked at 86.7 Fahrenheit. So that's how warm the water is in our control. Now we're going to test the water that we placed in our YETI. It's a bit warm to the touch. The lid is warm. We're dealing with hot water, so you have to be very careful. I'm trying to open this. Okay, the water here is warmer despite having a large opening in the lid. Definitely warmer. Look at that. Personally, I don't like to drink my tea or my hot chocolate, at a very, very high temperature. I put it in like a mug or a glass, and then I just leave it on the table for a few minutes, waiting it to be just a bit warmer than lukewarm, because my tongue is easily scalded. So I know a lot of people prefer their coffee to be like scalding hot, but not me. But it's not bad, huh? The YETI, despite being open and all, did not perform too shabbily. The water is there's still steam escaping from the water, and it's 149.3. We're going to write that down. Let's begin with the older brother of that one. This is the YETI Rambler. Okay, the water here is definitely hotter. It's still going up. So we have it at 163.7. Next is this one. Okay, I can, based on touch alone, it's still very hot. Ooh. Since it's too deep, we're just going to pour the water here. Okay, I think it peaked at 160.8. Up next is the REI vacuum bottle. It's already at 164, 165. Wow, it's still going up. So it topped out at 166.3 Fahrenheit. Next again is this other generic vacuum bottle. This is just to compare, they're the same, I think. In theory, they should perform the same way. So the peak temperature was at 162.2. Now we're going to try out our hydro flask. I hope it does well. I have 3 of these. Would you believe? Oh. This isn't very promising. The O-ring from the cover, the lid has just fell off. Its maximum temperature was at 153.2. Maybe we can put this aside. Next is this YETI vacuum food container. Rather, it's the REI vacuum food container. I'm a bit surprised that it didn't do so well. Peaked at 144.1. I was expecting this to do better because it has a double lid. Last is this one. This is our innate double wall mug. So I'm surprised that it didn't do so well comparatively. The water is still warm. Yes, that's still very, very warm, a little hot actually. But the temperature was just at 131.8. All right, so I guess you can clearly tell which of these vacuum bottles did really well in this heat test. So the one that kept the hot water hottest after the lapse of around 50 minutes or even an hour is the REI vacuum bottle. It also did very well during our cold test. Next to that is the YETI Rambler. So this is really one of the handsomest vacuum bottles that I have seen. So I'm glad that I own this because it's very reliable. After this one, the generic bamboo also did very well, and then this is followed by this one, the other generic bamboo, and then after that is the HYDROFLASK. This was just supposed to be an observer, not even a participant in this review, but it still did very well. It acquitted itself very well despite having that large opening there. So like I said, this is just my little experiment. You can duplicate this experiment at home. You can even try putting the bottles into the refrigerator and measure the temperature after the lapse of time. I chose 1 hour because I don't think anyone allows his or her coffee or hot tea to sit on the table for a very long amount of time. Most people probably finish a cup of coffee after maybe 20 minutes, 25 or 30 minutes. In my case, I let my tea sit for about that same amount of time before I start drinking it. And so there you go. Also, this is not a very comprehensive review because there are still a lot of vacuum bottles out there that were not included in this test. These are just the bottles that I have in my cabinets, which I dug up during this quarantine. So I hope that review was instructive for all of you if you are deciding which vacuum bottle to purchase or which vacuum bottle to use if you already have one. And also I hope that wherever you find yourself during this community quarantine that you are doing well and that you are staying healthy. So if you like what I do here on my channel, please don't forget to subscribe and watch out for the next videos because we are in this for the long run, it seems. I will have a lot more time to do these things. So I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.